So this information will hopefully all be out of date in the next 4 to 5 years. But right now, one of the best ways to find your HVAC jobs is not online in most cases. It's starting to change, but it's a little bit slower. It's not like you're applying for corporate jobs where everybody's online. HVAC is typically still very much in front of people for the most part. So let's talk about your first jobs, finding those first places you're going to apply to. Now, typically go out and find out what you're looking for. If you're looking for a supply house, do a search for wholesalers and start making a list. If you want to get started with residential, look for a list of residential companies in your area. Do a Google search. Okay, Google, nearby air conditioning companies. It'll give you a list of all the AC companies around. So start making a list of all of those companies and those addresses. So now you can make a list of what you're looking for. So that gives you an idea of what you're looking for. Maybe it's a commercial company. Maybe it's a restaurant, supermarket you want to do. Whatever it is, find specifically the kind of jobs that you're wanting to do and make a list of those. Now that you have that list ready, now you're ready to start doing your job search. So what you can do is you grab your resume that you've already made up. You're getting your clean car. You have your interview clothes already ready to go. You have your tools with you ready to go. And you physically go to these places first. You drive to those locations and you ask to leave a copy of your resume. You can leave it there with them and then say, hey, is there anybody I can talk to about any job openings? You don't simply say, hey, are you hiring, and wait for them to say no and go, no. You go there and say, I want to leave here. As soon as you have a job opening, I want to be the first in line to get this position. That shows initiative. It shows that, hey, you have the drive. You're going to go out. You're outgoing. You're not just sitting at home, sending out some emails. You've made the initiative to go to that location. You've brought the resume. You look nice. You have that nice first impression, and you're leaving that resume there. You found them. You got their address. That is really, really important. So now you've made that impression. Whoever the person is, the office person is first answering, the customer service representative, they see you there. You've made that impression. They're more likely to give that to the boss. And then what you're going to do is you're going to keep going back. You're not going to take no for an answer. Until they tell you stop coming back, you're going to keep coming back, and you're going to keep applying again and again and again. Maybe it's once a week. Maybe move it up to twice a week. Maybe move it up to every day. Maybe move it to twice a day. You come in the morning, you come at noon, you come at night. You find out when that boss is going to be there, and you keep coming in, and you don't give up. You keep coming in. Hey, I heard that you were the best, and I want an opportunity to work for you. Maybe they'll have an application to fill out. We'll leave another spot for that. But having that resume is a tool. You can leave it behind. Eventually, they'll have 50 copies of your resume there, and they'll just give you a chance. They'll give you an interview just to get you to shut up. That's what you want. That shows determination. That shows drive. Employers, they like that. They appreciate that. I've had a guy before that came nonstop, come over and applying. Ended up hiring a guy just because I had to hire him just to get him to stop. Leave me alone. Best worker ever had. So that's something that really shows that drive. It really shows initiative. Now, there are more and more companies now. It's starting to become a thing that they don't have physical locations. Only then do you want to approach them by email. Then you want to approach them by calling. But you really want to make calling your very last resort, because some companies, they just don't like handling phone calls. If a business owner is on the phone all day long solving problem after problem after problem, and here's somebody else calling, another person calling, when you show up in person, it's so much more powerful. Now, there are situations where that is going to apply. Maybe they only have a mobile location. In that case, when you find those jobs, they don't have a physical location, then you call. But you typically want to send your resume by email first and then call. Give them some kind of a heads up on there when you talk to them, and be ready for that conversation. Also, you can look for jobs on Craigslist, for example. Now, this varies by state, so it's really hit or miss. But for example, in Las Vegas, there was a lot of job postings for on Craigslist. So you go there and you type in jobs, do a job search, type in HVAC, and you're going to see a whole list of things pop up. Now, typically when you're looking for a job, LinkedIn isn't going to be so great for your entry-level jobs in most cases. Now, there are exceptions. I tell you, students that got jobs from LinkedIn and they just graduated school. So it is possible, but it's not your general thing. So having a LinkedIn set up is beneficial, but don't plan on that being your job. And if you do an internet search for jobs, you got to be expected to have a lot of turn down, because internet jobs, they're not going to post a job for an entry-level position. They're going to post a job saying, hey, we need somebody with 5 years experience and has their own tools and blah, blah, blah. Because that's what they really want. They're not available. They're not enough of them out there. That's what they want. So a lot of people get so discouraged. Everybody wants 5 years experience. And the reason is, as an employer, I'm not going to pay money for an advertisement, to pay money to put an ad in for an entry-level position, because I'll get every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the world coming in and applying. And I'm spending all my energy having to go through all these ridiculous applications instead of getting my work done. So most people don't advertise an entry-level position. And Even though they're hiring entry-level positions, they don't advertise. That's why showing up is so powerful. It's such a big deal. I can't stress that enough. Now, still, yes, there's other jobs you can apply for. A lot of big companies have HR departments, but an HR department, sometimes it's difficult to get to the person. So still going in person, even if it's a corporation, and dropping your resume off is powerful. Even if you're doing the other route together, but you want to hit it. Don't take no for an answer. So they said no today. Come back tomorrow. Come back the next day. Keep coming back and you will get that job. So you'll make sure that when you're doing your job hunt, it's not just online. Eventually it will be. But right now, that in-person side of it is going to be very, very, very powerful. So go in, do that job list, do that job search, and be ready. As if you're ready to have an interview right on the spot, be ready for it. Have your notepad, your information, your paper, all that ready to go so that when they say, can you interview now, you can say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I am ready to go right now. Very powerful stuff. A lot of people make the mistake, especially the new generation, not realizing they can go there in person. Also, when you go there in person, get you a generic application and fill that information out. So when they say, hey, I need you to fill out this application, you will have all the information you need quickly, easily to apply. Now, when you're first looking at this application, it's like, where did you live 5 years ago? I don't remember. They ask you questions of all your jobs and the phone numbers of everybody you worked for. It's like, I don't remember all that information. So filling out an application ahead of time, then you're able to copy that information down onto that application that they want. Very powerful. And you can do that on your phone. You can take a picture of it. You can do it digitally, whatever it takes. But you have that information, and then you can answer those application questions. And that way you're not burning your time or you're not burning the employer's time. So that's a great way. Little tricks of the trade. It can help. Another little hidden little secret for getting that first job is do a background check on yourself and take that, make a copy of that, and bring that with you when you give off your application. A driver's record. If you do print out a driving report for yourself for the last however many years, that's something that's very powerful you can use for your resume. An employer can't ask if you have a driver's license, although you're going to be driving a company vehicle. But when you show, hey, here's my driving record, I have a clean driving record, that's very, very powerful. So having that is something that can definitely set you apart from everybody else. Hey, here's my background check, here's my driving record, blah, 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 bam, you're done. That's something you can put in with your resume when you're dropping it off that really sets you above the rest. Now, if your driving record's not so clean, look to see if you can get that cleaned up. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but you want to look, see if you can clean that up anyway. And if you do have an issue in your background, don't lie about it. You want to make sure you're honest with them. They'll typically bring it up during the interview. How is your background? You want to be honest. Hey, look, 10 years ago, I was stupid. I made a mistake, whatever, and I've corrected my ways. I've been out for this long. I've been clean. Whatever the situation is, that you show that you've turned yourself around and that you want the opportunity to make a living for yourself. You want an opportunity to make this your trade. So don't lie about that kind of stuff. But if you do have a clean background and a clean driving record, definitely get that printed out, bring it to you while you're dropping off your application and your resumes. That is something that's really powerful. So if you're still having trouble landing that very first position, start asking for feedback. The interviews you've already gone to, or even places you've already applied, start asking for feedback very nicely. Make sure you're very positive about this. When you're asking for that feedback, say, hey, is there anything else I can do to improve my position? Can I reapply in the future? All of these things are going to be important to get feedback. If they fill the position, hey, that's fantastic. What can I do to improve myself in the future for this position? And that feedback can be very, very valuable for you. Maybe they say, you need this certification, or maybe here you need to register with the state or something, whatever it is, that can really be beneficial. Don't take one employer's feedback. You want feedback from multiple different employers or people that you've even applied to. That can be very beneficial. Now remember, you want to spread out your search at that point. Maybe you're only applying at residential. Maybe start applying for companies that do restaurant equipment, or maybe commercial work, maybe test and balance or sound, or all these other kind of jobs. You can maybe apply for that. Think of supply houses, things like that. Those are also really great positions. A lot of times they need delivery drivers. That's a great way to start. So maybe you have to change your position a little bit. Another thing to start with people don't think about is apartment maintenance. Apartment maintenance is a great way to get in the door. They're usually, their entry-level boundaries are a lot lower. It's a lot easier to get into those positions. And if you have your EPA certification, they're really always hiring people, like all over the place. And also, if you need a place to stay, a lot of times you get a discount for staying on site at that location. They'll give you a discount for that. So there's a lot of benefits to that. And here's a cool thing. If you're working with apartment maintenance, or what they call multifamily housing, that's the proper name for that, multifamily housing, if you don't know what's happening with the unit here, you can look at the unit right next door, because it's going to be identical. So you can see what that unit's doing. You can test parts and make sure you can fix the unit you're working on. Now, the other thing I want to bring up with multifamily housing is, not always, But a lot of times there's a lot of bad habits with those careers. So when you start out working with multifamily housing, you may be working under somebody that has, and maybe not always, but they have a lot of bad habits. So you want to make sure that just because you're getting this to work at this point doesn't mean that that's the right way. Especially if you want to move beyond that, you want to make sure you're learning the best way. You're still applying yourself all the time. Because a lot of times the multifamily housing is about just getting this fixed as fast and as cheap as possible. Not always, but a lot of time. And they do have a reputation for that. So if you're going to be moving from the multifamily housing or apartments onto one of the other positions that you really want to work for, you need to keep that in mind. Hey, I'm doing these skills, I'm building these skills, but some of the things I'm learning may not be the absolute best way. So now when you do go to reapply for those positions, you want to make sure that you're acknowledging, hey, I'm working in the field right now. I love what I'm doing, the air conditioning, refrigeration. I just don't feel like I'm doing it to the best quality, and I really want to invest in myself. And I hear that your company has a great reputation. Your reviews are off the charts. I want to be a part of what you're doing, and I want to learn how to do things the right way, the best way as possible. Now you're showing that you want to grow, and when you're talking to that company, you've shown you've put in the time, you've put in some experience someplace else, you're willing to work. Those things can be very powerful. Again, a lot of that's just that mindset, showing that you want this position, that you want to learn, and say, hey, will you give me a chance? Will you give me a chance to prove myself? That really goes a long ways in landing that very first position. And once you get your foot in the door, man, stay positive and you're unlimited on that. But that's just multiple different ways of getting started. And in some cases, yeah, maybe you're going to have, maybe the market's tough. You're going to have to go to school. You're going to have to get some more certifications. You're going to have to invest in yourself. But the thing is, you have to decide, I want to do this job and I'm not going to let anything stop me. Nothing is going to get in my way. This is what I want to be. This is who I want to become. And I am going to land that. And this company says no, I'll keep coming back to that company and I'll keep going to other companies. And you keep asking them, hey, will you give me a chance to work with you? Will you give me a chance to be a part of what you're doing? Will you give me a chance to be the best I can be, and I promise I'll make your company the best that I can help it to be. Man, who wouldn't say yes to that? I'm like, absolutely. You know what? You want a chance? Yeah, I want to give you a chance. And then you get your foot in the door, and then it's on you to prove yourself.